Welcome to our deep dive into Tesla. We're going to be looking at all things Tesla as of January 5th, 2025. And we've got some really interesting source material to work with. We've got some excerpts from an internal Tesla update document and a tech article that really digs into some of the details. But before we even get into that, can we just talk about the Cybertruck bombing and an autopilot system almost driving a car into a train? It's really not your typical day in the world of electric vehicles.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we're going to unpack all of that. Plus, we're going to be talking about Tesla's self-driving ambitions, their market performance, and even a really, really cool new feature that just might turn you into a DIY mechanic.
It's quite the mix. It seems like every time we check in on Tesla, there's a new wave of drama crashing down.
Yeah. So let's jump right into that self-driving drama. The update document talks about FSD, full self-driving, version 13.2. which is currently in beta testing. And it's showing some serious progress. In fact, Elon Musk is predicting that it'll be safer than human drivers by the second quarter of this year. So, is the robotaxi dream finally about to become a reality?
Well, there's a lot of buzz around FSD 13.2, and the advancements are really impressive. But if you look at analyst reports, you see there's a strong undercurrent of caution.
Okay. What are some of the specific concerns they're raising?
Well, achieving true level 5 autonomy, where the car can handle any situation without human intervention. That's still a massive technical hurdle. I mean, we're talking about complex scenarios, unpredictable pedestrian behavior, and even the ethics of decision-making in life or death situations. There's so many variables that haven't been fully accounted for.
Yeah. And what about Musk's track record of, optimistic timelines? I mean, I can't help but think about all the times he's promised self-driving capabilities just around the corner, and then the corner keeps moving.
Right. And that overpromising, that can have real consequences.
Yeah.
It erodes trust. And it can even lead to dangerous situations when drivers become overly reliant on systems that aren't truly ready.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that actually brings us to the Autopilot incident that's been circulating online. This one really hits home because it happened to Jesse Liu, who's the CEO of an AI company called Rabbit. He was driving his Tesla when the autopilot system suddenly veered the car onto train tracks.
Oh, wow.
A train was approaching, he was stuck, and he ended up running a red light to escape. He even said that the experience left him literally shaking.
I can imagine that's terrifying. It's a terrifying scenario. And it raises serious questions about Tesla's accountability.
Yeah.
It's concerning is that there hasn't been any official response from Tesla regarding this incident, if they want public trust, and wider adoption of their self-driving technology. They need to be transparent about these events, they need to investigate them thoroughly, and they need to communicate their findings openly.
Yeah, I think transparency and accountability seem to be recurring themes when it comes to Tesla.
Indeed. And unfortunately, these issues can have tragic, real-world consequences. And that leads us to the Cybertruck explosion.
Right. This was a devastating event. And it's important to acknowledge the human element first and foremost. The driver, Matthew Livelsberger, was a decorated soldier who had been struggling with PTSD, and he made the tragic decision to end his life. And he used a rented Cybertruck packed with explosives to do it. He detonated the truck at the Trump International Hotel, injuring several people in the process.
Oh, it's awful. It's a heartbreaking reminder of the profound challenges faced by veterans struggling with mental health.
Yeah. The FBI's investigation ruled out terrorism as a motive, focusing instead on the personal issues behind this tragedy. But it does raise questions about how technology, even something as innovative as a Cybertruck, can be misused. And how do we as a society prevent such tragedies from happening in the future?
It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but it underscores the need for greater awareness and support for mental health, especially for those who have served in the military.
Absolutely. It's a conversation that needs to continue, even as we delve into the more technical aspects of Tesla's world.
While those tragedies are weighing heavily on everyone's minds, Tesla is still a publicly traded company, and the market is reacting not so well.
Yeah.
The update mentions weaker deliveries, and their first annual decrease ever. Ouch, that's never happened before.
You're right, it does seem like the shine is wearing off a bit. I know the update had Tesla's stock performance taking a hit, but just how bad is it?
It's significant. Their stock is down considerably. Part of that is the weaker deliveries, but part of it is also this increasingly competitive landscape. You've got companies like BYD surging ahead in the EV market.
BYD, I feel like they came out of nowhere.
They're a Chinese company, and they've been making major moves. They're actually ahead of Tesla in global EV sales now.
Wow. I guess Tesla is no longer the only game in town. So what does that mean for the average person who's not playing the stock market?
Well, for one, it means more options. More competition generally leads to better products, lower prices, and faster innovation. So for consumers, that's a good thing. It also means that the transition to electric vehicles is gaining momentum globally.
Okay, so that's the big picture. But the update also dives into some of the financial details of Tesla's operations. Honestly, I glazed over a bit when they started talking about operating margins. Can you break that down for me and maybe for our listener too who might be in the same boat?
Of course, operating margin is essentially how much profit a company makes on each dollar of sales after paying for things like manufacturing and marketing. Think of it this way. If a company sells a car for $50,000 and their operating margin is 10%, they made $5,000 in profit on that car after covering all their costs.
Okay, that makes sense. So the higher the operating margin, the more money they're actually making from selling their cars.
Exactly. And Tesla has historically had a higher operating margin than many of its traditional automotive rivals. But as competition heats up and they face pressure to lower prices, maintaining that profitability becomes even more crucial.
So how are they doing that? What's the magic formula?
Part of it is their vertical integration strategy. They control a lot of their own supply chain, from battery production to software development. This gives them more control over costs and allows them to be more agile than traditional automakers who rely on a complex network of suppliers.
So they're not just building cars, they're essentially building their own ecosystem. Is that risky, though? I mean, it seems like they've put all their eggs in one basket.
It's a high-risk, high-reward strategy. On the one hand, it gives them a competitive edge in terms of cost control and innovation. But on the other hand, it makes them more vulnerable to disruptions in their supply chain or fluctuations in raw material prices.
And we're seeing those disruptions play out in real time with the current geopolitical climate. The update actually touched on this, mentioning trade tensions between the US and China as a potential risk factor for Tesla.
It's a major concern. Tesla has a massive presence in both countries, and they rely on a global network of suppliers. Any escalation of trade tensions could disrupt their operations and hurt their bottom line.
So it's not just about building great cars, it's about navigating a complex web of global economics and politics. It seems like Tesla's in a precarious position. But I also read that they're investing heavily in research and development, especially in areas like self-driving technology and battery technology.
That's right. They're plowing a significant portion of their revenue back into R&D. They're betting on the future, which is necessary to stay ahead of the curve in this rapidly evolving industry.
It's like they're playing a high-stakes poker game.
It is. And there's a lot of pressure to see those bets pay off. Investors want to see a return on their investment, and the market is unforgiving.
Speaking of interesting bets, there's this new feature mentioned in the tech article that seems like it came out of left field. It's called Service Mode Plus, and it's designed for Cybertruck owners.
I was fascinated by that. It seems like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right? It gives owners access to interactive wiring diagrams for their Cybertruck built right into the vehicle's software. And the best part, no need for external diagnostic tools. Everything you need is right there on the touchscreen.
It's a game changer for DIY mechanics.
You think so? I mean, how many Cybertruck owners are actually going to be tinkering under the hood?
It's not just about tinkering, it's about empowerment. Having access to those wiring diagrams, seeing how the systems work, being able to diagnose problems yourself, it shifts the balance of power away from dealerships and repair shops and puts it back in the hands of the owner.
So they can troubleshoot and maybe even do some basic repairs without needing to take it to a mechanic.
That's the idea. And it's not just about repairs. It's about understanding how your vehicle works at a deeper level. It's about transparency and control.
And it's a brilliant marketing move. I mean, who wouldn't want to feel like they have X-ray vision for their car?
Right. It feeds into that tech-savvy early adopter persona that Tesla cultivates so well. But it also has broader implications. It could lead to a rise in DIY repairs, which could potentially disrupt the traditional auto repair industry.
It's interesting to see how Tesla is constantly pushing the boundaries, not just in terms of technology, but also in terms of how we interact with our vehicles.
It really is amazing how Tesla manages to stay at the forefront of innovation while simultaneously stirring up controversy.
Yeah. But amidst all this talk of technology and market forces, it's easy to lose sight of the human element. You know, we're talking about machines that are increasingly integrated into our lives, and there are real-world consequences to consider.
Yeah. That's a crucial point. We can't just focus on the cool factor and ignore the potential downsides. I mean, we've already seen how self-driving technology, even in its early stages, can have both life-saving potential and lead to terrifying near misses. And the tragic Cybertruck bombing. is a stark reminder that technology can be misused in devastating ways.
Exactly. And as these technologies become more sophisticated, the ethical dilemmas become even more complex, for example. With the push towards fully autonomous vehicles, who's ultimately responsible when something goes wrong? Is it the driver, the manufacturer, the software
It's
developer?
a legal and philosophical minefield
Yeah.
with no easy answers. We're going to need to develop new frameworks and regulations to address these challenges. And it's not just about liability. There are questions about data privacy, the potential for algorithmic bias, and the impact on the job market.
It's mind-boggling to think about the ripple effects of these technologies. Imagine a world where robotaxis are the norm. What happens to all the taxi drivers, truck drivers, delivery drivers?
It could lead to massive job displacement, reshaping entire industries, impacting livelihoods. We need to be having these conversations now.
Yeah.
Proactively thinking about how to mitigate the potential negative impacts and ensure a just transition.
Yeah. It's not all doom and gloom, though.
Right.
There are also potential benefits to consider. I mean, self-driving cars have the potential to make roads safer, reduce traffic congestion, and improve accessibility for people with disabilities.
Absolutely. And electric vehicles in general offer a cleaner and more sustainable alternative to gas-powered cars, which is a significant step towards combating climate change.
So it's a mixed bag. Incredible potential benefits coupled with some very real risks and challenges.
It's about striking a balance, embracing innovation while proceeding with caution, being mindful of the ethical implications, and engaging in thoughtful dialogue about the kind of future we want to create.
Yeah. So, speaking of the future, what excites you the most about what Tesla is doing right now?
Honestly, it's their ambition.
Yeah.
They're not content with just building cars. They're aiming to revolutionize the entire transportation ecosystem. They've got their own charging network, their own energy storage solutions, their own software platform. It's a bold vision that could fundamentally reshape how we think about mobility.
It's like they're trying to create their own world within our world.
In a way, yes. And that can be both exciting and a little unsettling. But whether you love them or hate them, you can't deny that Tesla is a force to be reckoned with.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive into their world, what's the one thing you want our listener to walk away with?
I think the most important takeaway is to stay curious. We're living in a time of unprecedented technological change, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But if we stay curious, keep asking questions, and seek out diverse perspectives, we can navigate these changes and shape the future we want to see.
Well said. That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Tesla. It's been a wild ride, and I have a feeling there are many more twists and turns ahead. Until next time, stay curious and keep those wheels turning.